What's up YouTube? It's Mr. Ferguson here once again. Thank you guys for coming back for another video here in Central North Carolina. We're doing this one for the new people. We're doing this for the beginners. This video start right here. I am going to go through basically my lawn care testimony, if you will, and tell you guys exactly how we got to where we are today, where I'm surviving summer for the first time currently as the making of this video. So thank you for tuning in. If you're new, if you're like, I don't even know why I'm watching this, I don't know nothing about lawn care, I was sort of basically in the same shoes as you are, and I'm remaking this video every year, and so I try to update it. The story's kind of the same, but throughout this talk that I'm going to give you, I don't want it just to be you looking at me and you're like, I don't want to hear this guy talk, he's rambling, blah blah blah. I'm going to throw in pictures during this video to show you exactly, because I was taking pictures. That's how this YouTube channel got started. I was just like you, sitting out there, didn't know anything about how to have a quote good looking premium lawn. As I would go, you know, on Halloween, walking through neighborhoods, my parents' neighborhood, driving down the road, and I'm like, man, how do they keep it so nice and pristine and looking good? And I didn't know anything about lawn care, but I always loved looking at good looking grass and real dark green and fertilized, which I didn't know exactly all about fertilizer. But I was just like, one day I came out of my house, as I've said many times on my channel, and I said, I think this is the year I'm going to try to figure out how to have a nice looking yard. And it just so happens, and here's some of the pictures, if I've not already displayed them, of what my yard looked like. It looked like everybody else in my neighborhood currently. Had crabgrass, had weeds. At one point when I was deployed, my dad came over with my wife, tried to plant some Scott's seed of some type of fescue. They did a really good job. It looked great. And my dad kind of took care of it that year. When we first moved in, that was back in the 2009, 2010, but then we just kind of left it. He didn't come every year. We kind of left it as is, and we got crabgrass, we got weeds. And so when I finally decided to come out that day and say, okay, it was springtime, and I remember there's something about spring, and I always make this video in spring, and that video being where I say, you think this is the time to work on your yard for fescue, but it's not. Hold off until the fall. And so what I did was I came out in spring, was like, all right, I'm about to do this. I pulled up some YouTube videos, and that person was Alan Hain, the lawn care nut, because he's pretty popular. Let me adjust my camera there a little bit. The sun is really bright right now. But it was Alan Hain, the lawn care nut, and later on I found Pete Denny, because he was here in North Carolina, in the central north part of North Carolina, where I'm in more the Raleigh area. So I began to listen to these guys, and they began to give me some advice of what to do first. And as I walked out, the very first day, no joke, God's my witness, it was, you need to figure out the square footage of your lawn. And I'm like, oh, well, that's boring. I don't want to do that. How do I even do that? But I set out to do it with my tape measure, my wife. I said, here, help me. Let's get our square footage the best we can. As soon as it wasn't 10 minutes after I walked out the door from watching that video, no joke, True Greens pulls in my driveway. Hey, we're in the neighborhood today, and was wondering if we can talk to you about our product. And I was like, Lord, like, this is kind of weird. The guy literally stepped off my lawn for me, professionally done. It's like God sent him, because he stepped it off, gave me the square footage. Boom, we roughly have now about 8,600 square feet to my lawn, so right around 9,000 square feet, and this guy did it for me. So God is good, no matter what anybody says. But that's where I started, and so then it was down to a decision. Am I going to let these guys do my lawn, come spray their products, do their thing, and just pay them money and go about my business and just let them handle it, or do I want to do it? I'd already made up my mind before walking out the door that I wanted to do it, so we eventually told True Green to go on. We would do it ourselves. They kept calling. We just said, no, we're good. And it's one of the best decisions I ever made, because this channel wouldn't exist. I wouldn't have the knowledge that I have, and I wouldn't have the satisfaction of saying I did everything you see back here by myself. I didn't have help from True Green. I had help from Alan Hain. I give him credit. I give Pete Denny credit. And YouTube. I give YouTube credit, this platform. And because of this platform, I now know how to grow grass, a little bit at least. So what I want to relay to you, and I'm running out of time because I'm blabbing, is it all started with this. A lawn care plan. This is the very first lawn care plan I bought. It's the only lawn care plan I bought, to be honest with you, from Alan Hain. I put it in this nice little booklet form, but it's a walkthrough step that you can buy from Alan Hain, from many different people. Maybe there's a local company you would like to go with that can just guide you. Maybe like me, I don't want somebody to come and do it. I want to feel like I'm doing it myself, but I want somebody to guide me. Well, that is what a lawn care plan does. $20, $25, paying, you know, Yard Mastery or GCI Turf Academy. They can provide you with the, here's what you need to do, and then it's up to you to buy the products and do the work. So here's what I recommend. If you're watching this now, you're watching it at the right time, because now is the time, no matter what your yard looks like. You know, many people, there's a lot to go into this, and I just want to give you the basics, the very basics, and that is, you can do this, because if I could do it not knowing anything, then you can do it. And all you need to know is the fall time is when we want to plant fescue. So that's the number one thing, is what type of seed do you want to plant in your yard? If you're like my brother who lives in Wilmington, North Carolina, in the really sandy soil of Wilmington, North Carolina, he don't want to plant fescue down there. That's a cool season grass, and in Wilmington it's not going to work out well. He's looking at a warm season grass, zoysia, St. Augustine, Bermuda, those type of grasses. So number one, that's a warm season grass. A cool season grass is what you see behind me, which is turf type tall fescue, ryegrass, Kentucky bluegrass for states a little bit further north, or people with well water. So those are more the cold season or cool season grasses. So you got to, number one, figure out, what do I want? Where is my location? Are you in the transition zone of the United States, meaning mainly in the middle part of the state of the nation? Are you in the northern part of the nation or the southern part? That's going to help you determine, do I need warm season grass? Clearly that's for the warmer, where it gets brutally hot states. If you're up north, you're more likely to want cool season grass. So that's the number one thing. Knowing your square footage is also very key. There are videos out there to teach you how to do that, or have a buddy to come over and help you get your square footage. But if you're dealing with a lot of weeds in your yard, the first thing I would tell you is the summer weeds are going to die out on their own. You can get out there like I did, and I'll show pictures here. I got out in my backyard, and I totally smoked off my entire backyard. I did it way too early, and weeds even came in and infiltrated, because I was like, I need to do it and get the chemical out of my soil. And so doing so, I did it way too early, and crabgrass even popped up on the day that I was planting, and you'll see them in the pictures there. And so regardless, I said, I'm moving forward. I didn't re-spray Roundup or anything. I bought rented a push or self-propelled aerator. That is, to me, very crucial. A core aerator, not a spike with cinder blocks on top of it that you drag behind a four-wheeler. No, a core aerator that's going to push into the ground and pull cores out that are round and yay long. The longer, the deeper you get in, and that is going to loosen compaction in your dirt. If it's new construction and you just literally had them grade your lawn, may not need to do this right now, but may need to do it starting next year. But if you're an established lawn, a house that you've bought that's been there since the 60s and never been aerated, you definitely need a mechanical aeration to loosen the compaction in your yard. And when you do this, you want to run that thing just as much as you can bear to do. Pulling cores, pulling cores, pulling cores. Don't worry about what it looks like when it sets the core on top, the dirt on top of the ground. Leave it. It'll go away over time eventually. But you want to loosen the dirt, loosen the dirt, loosen the dirt. That's the first thing. The second thing is, knowing your square footage, you then want to apply your grass seed. Whether it's fescue, whether it's turf type tall fescue, whether it's ryegrass, Kentucky bluegrass, all these different things like that. You want to know, okay, what type of grass do I want to put down? There's also, we've gotten into here on the channel, there are better grass seeds versus cheaper or worse grass seeds. There are grass seeds out there that have weeds in the seed. You want to be careful. It does depend on how much money. You get what you pay for. There's blue tag certified seed, so that's something you may want to look up and investigate more. I recommend GCI turf type tall fescue. That's what you see behind me. I've been impressed with it. It's on the I wouldn't say cheaper, but it's on the average priced grass seed. It has no weeds in it, and it's proven it, and it's done well for me. Once you lay down your grass seed, the next thing that I would recommend is you want a starter fert. Now you're a little too early to start doing soil tests, but if you're able to do a soil test prior to when you would aerate and seed, you want to see how much phosphorus is in your dirt. If you have a high amount of phosphorus, you don't need starter fert. You could use any type of high nitrogen, what we recommend, fertilizer, something like a Flagship, something like a Scott's, something in the 2806 range, something, something like that. And you want to have, but to be safe, just buying something that says starter fert is totally legit and okay. Stay Green at Lowe's, things like that. And you want to know your square footage yet again and put down the proper amount of fertilizer right on top of that seed. The same day you're going to aerate, you're going to seed, you're going to put that fertilizer down. At that point, that is the main things. But if you want to go a step further to ensure that you're going to get that seed to germinate and have a brand new looking yard, I would recommend peat moss. Peat moss needs to be going down instead of hay. Don't waste your money on straw. Don't waste your money on hay, in my opinion. That's my opinion. There are seeds in hay and straw that you spread all over your ground, and it can cause that grass that comes up really fast ahead of your fescue. That comes from straw. Peat moss will go down. It's kind of messy. It's like a dirt almost that you're spreading evenly. You want to rake it, get it evenly, but it's going to hold moisture between ground and peat moss. It's going to hold moisture on top of that seed and help in germination. Everywhere I put peat moss that first year, and the second year is where I first had germination and baby grass springing up out of the ground. So I recommend peat moss in any of the really bare spots. Peat moss, you can get it at Lowe's, you can get it at Home Depot. You can even sometimes find a spreader for it if you've got a large area to do. Me and my wife did it by hand. It's not going to hurt you, just going to get you a little dirty. After all of this, one of the very most crucial parts after all of this is the water. You want to make sure you water the peat moss. You want to make sure you water your seed. You want to make sure basically every day for probably 10 to 14 days, you're getting water on that ground. You want to keep it moist. You want to keep that. You don't want to bury it in peat moss. You don't want to bury it in dirt. You won't want that seed to be on top either for the birds to eat, but you want to make sure the sun can penetrate to the seed, and you want to make sure it's moist, which is going to produce germination in 5 to 7 days, sometimes 10 days for germination of fescue. It depends on the type of seed you're throwing down and how fast you'll see results in that seed starting to come up. But I'm telling you what, it's one of the most satisfying things in your life to be able to do all that work that we just talked about, the aeration part, to get to get an aerator and aerate, to spread your seed evenly across your dirt, to put your starter fertilizer down on the ground, then to be able to put peat moss out and then water all of that and watch over the next 2 weeks the sprouts of new grass coming up. And when it all comes up and it's finally ready to be mowed, it's one of the most satisfying experiences, personally, it was for me. And I believe that's what hooks a lot of us in the lawn care community and binds us together. And then it's a matter of trying to learn how to maintain this yard, which is a whole nother beast. But that is how, now is the time. And soil temperatures are very key to that as well. Depending on where you live, is different parts of the region is when you want to do all of this that we're talking about. I'm in North Carolina. I know that my time frame, we're looking at soil temps, want to be somewhere dropping down around the 70-degree mark, somewhere coming down out of summer. That's roughly around mid to late to early October, September, late September, October time frame for me. If you're further north, that's going to be a little bit later. If you're further south for fescue, I would doubt you would probably be planting fescue southern than North Carolina, but if so, you may be doing this a little bit sooner. So it depends on where you are. You want to check when are the soil temperatures in your area going to reach right around 70 degrees if you're going to be planting cool season grass, which is primarily, well, it is what we pretty much focus here on my channel, is cool season grass, not warm season grass. So those are the basics. I've been talking for 13 minutes now. So those are the basics. If you're a new homeowner, you got a brand new house, you don't want to hire somebody, times are a little tough in our economy currently at the making of this video, you can do this if you've got the money, the budget, and a little bit of time to be able to do it. So that's the basics, that's the gist. Get on that lawn care plan, and we are here as a channel. I'm showing you what I'm doing almost 3 times a week. I'm coming out here making content in my fescue and showing people exactly what I'm doing. I show the good things I've done, I show the terrible things, bad decisions I've made. So I hope that you would subscribe and tune in here, and once you get your lawn established, you can say, okay, Mr. Ferguson's working on fungicide. What's that all about? Mr. Ferguson is doing some type of grub treatment. Why does he want to do that? Why is he doing this thing called hydrotain? So all of these different things we do throughout the year, you can follow along and see if it's something that you would like to do in your lawn. And we're having a good time here. We got a great community, we're growing, and the channel just keeps growing, and that's literally how I grew my channel, is doing all the things that I just said to you and filming it along the way, and it's in my past content. Go check it out. Well, that'll do it for today. Thank you to the new people. Hope you'll subscribe. To the veterans, thank you for bearing with me. Veterans of lawn care, be sure and mention some of the things that I can't pack into this video. We would have an hour-long video if we went over everything. But if there's anybody that is new, I want to hear you guys that are new to lawn care. Comment below. Let me know your questions. You said this. What about this? And hey, my lawn care vets, hit up these new guys. Give them encouragement. Let them know they can do it. And let's welcome them into the lawn care community. We're all in this together. We want to help one another and be there for one another. So thank you for taking the time to watch today. Hope you've enjoyed it. Hope you've learned something today. God bless. We'll see you on the next lawn care video.